Oke, hello saudara-saudara, berjumpa di channel berkaratanya. Hey, apa kabar kalian yang pasti luar biasa bukan? Dan ya, pada video kali ini di sini kita akan mencoba mereaction hasil live deep dive gameplay FC Mobile tadi pagi jam 6 cuy. Waduh, tadi pagi belum sempat nonton. Dari sini kita akan coba nonton dan nanti videonya akan saya skip cari yang penting-penting aja cuy, biar nanti teman-teman itu nggak kelamaan nontonnya. Jadi nanti kita lihat yang penting-penting aja. Dan ini keren banget cuy, ini keren banget ya. Ini ya, saya sudah nonton tadi cuy, dan ini kita akan coba ulangi. Oke, langsung saja. Ini ada Bro Anwan cuy, ada Bro Anwan ya. Kita langsung gas tonton aja cuy.
Is that in FC Mobile we will be returning
yang introducing saya lewati ya cuy, langsung ke region. Nah, ini region ini penting juga cuy.
one global region. So really excited. I know the core community has been asking about that for a long time. Dubs in the chat. I agree, Ruben. Dubs in the chat. One global region. Very exciting. So what does that mean? What does one global region mean for FC Mobile? So that means that leagues, friends, friendlies, division rivals, leaderboards, and matchmaking will be all done in one global region. So that
Nah, itu cuy. Besok sudah nggak ada region-region lagi, Asia dan lain sebagainya. Semua akan jadi satu global cuy. Waduh, ini sih keren banget ya. Dari friendlies-nya, liga, terus leaderboard, matchmaking, ini semua akan global. Dan kita bisa ketemu, misal kalau saya aja bisa ketemu RK Ready dan lain sebagainya ya. Wah, ini sih keren banget. Teman-teman juga bisa bertemu youtuber-youtuber luar juga, Stop D dan lain sebagainya. Wah, ini sih mantap banget sih, bisa ketemu region-region lain sekarang. Berarti besok itu bukan region Asia lagi, besok sudah global. Ini sih keren banget sih. Ini keren banget Asia region ya.
will be not separated from people in different regions or shards. It's all going to be one, like we had it in previous seasons before, I guess 2021 and before. So I see a lot of dubs. It's very exciting. I know the community's been asking about that. And I wanted to go into a little bit of the details here. We will be having a deep dive on leagues about how do you set up a league, all the details. It's pretty much similar to previous seasons, but the big one is you can now have a league with anybody from around the world. So if you are in the UK and you want to add someone from Brazil, that can happen. You can be in the same league across the world. So I'm in Canada, I can be in a league with
kita skip dulu ya.
and
Kita
get started on recruiting.
Biar agak cepet. Nah, ini.
Welcome Timo to the show.
Ini aja Timo ya.
Hello guys. Wow, I'm excited to finally be here on the...
Ini kayaknya Timo ini yang ngurusin gameplay sih cuy. Dia yang bikin semua kayak ya gameplay cuy. Yang gameplay itu sih Timo yang ngurusin. Kalau kayak tag itu kan event ya. Kalau tag itu event. Kalau Timo ini mungkin gameplay cuy. Ini baru pertama kali sih ya ngajak si Timo ini.
It's an honor, absolutely. Hello Antoine.
Nah, kalau Anwan ini siapa cuy? Dia tuh siapa ya? Marketing atau malah? Tapi dia tuh sering sih dia di live streaming itu pasti Bro Anwan sih. Tapi Timo ini baru kali ini sih. Kalau kemarin-kemarin kan si Tak terus karena event kan. Sekarang si Timo cuy.
Hello Timo, it's good to have you on, and it's good to have you here to talk about gameplay.
Yeah, super excited guys. So much to talk about today. And just so you know who I am, gameplay producer. I've been doing this for one decade, so I've been on this.
Gameplay producer, waduh, ini yang bikin gameplaynya dia ya ternyata ya.
But I can honestly tell you guys, really, never been more excited than today because the team has been so hard at work, not just across the whole game, but especially gameplay. We put a lot of effort into this, like really taking our gameplay to the next level. Now, personally, I would describe it, our gameplay has matured over the last 12 months building this, and we built on a very strong foundation, and I'm sure you guys are going to be excited getting your hands on FC Mobile next week. So I do want to take a moment here, and I'm not doing this because I'm on stream, but I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart and from the team. Thank you to this community for the constant feedback that we receive, and I want to tell you guys, we listen to that feedback. We read the forums and all the different channels where we receive gameplay feedback. So I'm sure a lot of that you're happy with what itself.
Ini mulai ini bentar sih. Jangan
in
sampai
FC
terlewat ya.
Mobile,
Oke, kita lihat
starting
tuh.
with
Itu tadi ada
dynamic
visualnya ya.
game speed. Tell us a little bit more about that, and we've got some cool clips as well to support.
Yes. So FC Mobile really stands for authenticity and realism, and that's manifested itself in a new ebb and flow of the gameplay. So what we wanted to do is a more composed, realistic, and mobile-friendly game speed. We know that sometimes in the current game, the game can feel quite fast, and you receive a pass instantly, a defender is pressuring you, so we wanted to give you more time on the ball, make decisions, read the play, and also diversify the build-up play that way. So giving you more space.
Wah, ini sih keren sih cuy. Dia tuh kayaknya membuat game FC Mobile itu lebih realistis, tetapi jalannya pertandingan itu lebih lamban dibanding FIFA Mobile yang cepet banget cuy. Kalau kemarin kayaknya kan terlalu cepet cuy. Nah itu besok kayaknya dia itu akan dibikin lebih slow. Kalau teman-teman main FC Mobile Beta sih pasti sudah pada tahu cuy gameplaynya seperti apa. Itu memang lebih slow, lebih pelan, dan kita itu nggak bisa membawa bola itu terlalu lama. Mending kalau misal ada ruang-ruang untuk umpan dan kita umpan aja cuy. Soalnya agak buat skill move dan lain sebagainya itu nggak bisa spam lane change, itu udah nggak bisa cuy. Besok ketika kita lane change ya, kita lane change 1 kali itu pasti enak. 2 kali tambah berat, 3 kali tambah berat, dan semakin berat cuy. Memang itu kerealistikan seperti itu. Soalnya memang lane change itu kan kakinya gini cuy, agak susah ya. Kalau dibikin spam itu di realistik juga nggak, di realnya juga susah cuy. Mungkin mengarah ke realistik sekarang.
More time, slowing things down a little bit, and just creating a new flow for this new era of our franchise. So dynamic game speed really breaks down into 2 areas, and the first one is pace. So let's roll over to the next clip. So on FC Mobile, you will see a much more tangible attribute effect for acceleration and sprint speed. And you can see this here in the sprint race, the guy on the top, ID number 1, you can see he's the fastest guy, so he has a really high acceleration and sprint speed attribute, and then a medium rated and a low rated player. So you can see.
Ini perbedaan ya kayaknya ya. Perbedaan akselerasi sama sprint speed. Misal sprint speednya kencang ya larinya kayak yang atas gitu sih. Misal medium yang tengah, yang paling lamban, yang paling bawah. Jadi kelihatan cuy, perbedaannya kelihatan ya sekarang ya. Sprint speed maupun akselerasinya
these
sekarang
differences, and you'll feel it when you play the game. This also gives more personality to players. Now, I understand maybe there's a concern here right away in saying, hey, it's all about pace this year, but that's not really the case because gameplay balance is the top priority always for us. So if we roll on to the next clip, you will actually see a sprint race between a dribbler and a defender. So what we didn't want is that the dribbler can just dribble away and defenders can't catch you. So the blue player has a head start, but the defender is catching him. Why? Because every time your dribbler takes a touch, he has to decelerate, right? Just like in real life. Imagine you're dribbling and you're sprinting down the sideline with the ball. Every single time you approach the ball, just a few seconds before, you have to slow down and then re-accelerate again.
Nah ini jadi teman-teman nggak boleh bawa bola terlalu lama. Ketika semakin lama bawa bola, kemungkinan akselerasinya akan menurun cuy. Jadi bisa terkejar sama yang punya sprint speed kencang ya. Wah ini sih patut kita pelajari sih cuy.
And this accelerate, re-accelerate allows the defender who's just in pure locomotion to catch you. So it's very important. Gameplay balance, top priority. So let's move on to the next clip. The second part for dynamic game speed is actually in dribbling. And this is very exciting, and here I'm going to reflect the first kind of community request. We've heard you guys said, well, small players are just not that valuable. There's no significant difference. So we wanted to make sure that players like Messi feel super agile and fast. So we made some changes for dribbling. The first one is that agility attribute has a higher impact on the playback rate of the dribbler, so he can turn faster, but also player height. So the smaller your player, the faster he'll be able to turn while dribbling. And I think this video comparison side by side is very clear. Now, of course, the small player on the left, he has very high agility, very high dribbling, and is quite small. And the player on the right, he is kind of medium rated, but you can see clear differences in how fast and nimble the player is. So we really wanted to make sure that small players feel super agile, fast, responsive, and have a value and purpose in the game.
Ini sih keren sih cuy. Jadi yang besok tinggi badan itu kayaknya akan berpengaruh ya ini ya. Jadi yang pendek itu kayaknya besok akan lebih enak, responsifnya lebih bagus, agility-nya lebih enak lagi cuy. Kelincahannya mantap. Tetapi untuk yang tinggi cuy, pemain yang tinggi badannya tinggi aja. Pemain yang memiliki tinggi badan. Nah, itu cuy, tinggi badannya tinggi mumet ya. Yang tinggi lah cuy ya, tinggi ya. Dia itu kemungkinan agak berat, responsifnya agak kurang, kelincahannya agak kurang sih. Ini sih realistis banget sih ya. Kalau yang pendek-pendek pasti lebih gesit, lebih lincah, agility-nya lebih mantap, responnya lebih mantap. Tetapi untuk yang tinggi itu mungkin akan lebih berat. Ini sih lebih ke realistis sih. Nah, saya bingung besok Haaland gimana nih cuy. Haaland kan tinggi ya. Haaland kan tinggi. Apakah dia akan selincah di FIFA Mobile atau tidak? Kalau dari sini ini tinggi badan berpengaruh di agility, responsif, serta dribblingnya. Itu akan berpengaruh besar cuy.
And that's dynamic game speed.
Oke, mantap sih ya.
Absolutely. It looks really, I guess, refined is a nice way to put it. And kind of, if you played the beta, you got a little bit of a feel to it. It
Kita
takes
lihat lagi yang ini cuy.
But also, you want to...
Bentar.
Speaking of shooting, speaking of Haaland, perfect segue into a next big fundamental feature, which is elite shooting. So let's roll the
Shooting
first
ini cuy.
clip. So we know that in the current game, shooting is quite fun, quite accessible. You can almost score from anywhere with anyone, but we kind of lost two things. One is user skill. And for elite shooting and FC Mobile, you really want to make sure we are rewarding great user skill, but also we wanted to make sure that shooting feels more realistic overall. So this is about like how we take shots and how successful you can be. So why is it called elite shooting? Well, because we're putting a lot more focus on users' input and the way he takes shots. So there's three areas that impact elite shooting. So let's roll on to the first clip. So the first one is your aim, your manual aim. So you can see this.
Nah ini cuy. Ini sih beda banget ya. Kalau teman-teman main FIFA Mobile, itu finish shot kan asal slide ke bawah sudah akurat banget cuy. Tetapi besok di FC Mobile akan beda banget. Saya sudah main yang di beta itu memang beda. Nggak asal finish shot bisa on target. Jadi itu agak susah. Nah ini cuy, finish shot, good aim. Nah ini aimnya harus bagus, proper, pad angel. Jadi angel-angelnya itu nggak asal cuy. Misal kita itu dari angel kanan mau finish ke yang melengkung gitu loh cuy. Melengkung ke arah kiri ini itu akan susah sih cuy. Kalau di FIFA Mobile bisa ya, kalau di FC Mobile kemudian nggak bisa ini.
White line here in our debug. You can see this white line extended from the player. This actually represents your angle that you're aiming with the joystick. So if you have a great manual aim, as in this example, you can get the shot on target more often.
Dan ini kemungkinan joysticknya akan berpengaruh juga sih. Jadi ketika teman-teman mau finish shot, joysticknya jangan, nah ini joysticknya tetap diarahin ke gawang cuy. Wah ini sih lebih ke realistis sih. Misal joystick kita yang analog kiri itu ngarahinnya salah, lah ini kan ngarahinnya ke sana cuy.
And if you
Itu
aim
akan
way outside,
menjadi
your chances of scoring will be decreased.
Poor
Now,
pad
that
angel.
doesn't mean that if you're aiming
Kurang
off
ini,
to
Joy.
the goal, that you will always
kurang ya. Nah,
miss,
kalau aimnya
but your
bagus,
chances
ini sih
will
keren sih.
decrease, right? So we want to make sure that, hey, if you do a great job manual aiming, you will be rewarded. So that's important to us. So let's move on.
Ini manual
to the
aimnya
next
cuy,
one.
manual ya.
And I would say this is probably the most important one. This is shot context. So how you put your player into a position, right? Like in this example, you can see I'm beating the defender. I have great space, a great angle to the goal, and I'm basically putting my player in a good position to score.
Ini dia
So we
melewatinya
want to make
itu
sure that
malah
we
itu ya.
reward you for putting.
Ya, jadi ngelewatin pemainnya itu enggak tanpa skill move ya, cuma pakai analog kiri itu sih.
Your player
Melewatinya
in a
itu
good
tanpa
position.
skill move.
Now, if you roll on to the next clip, I'll show the opposite of that. So if you're attempting shots under difficult situations, you're less likely to be successful. So these are things like, moving away from the goal, taking volley shots, not even facing the goal, like doing a 180 degrees shot or these kinds of things, defensive pressure. All these things will impact your ability to score. Now let's make an example. So let's roll on to the next clip. you're going to see back-to-back, kind of the same situation here. I'm taking a first-time shot with my weak foot, and I'm going to miss. But then the second time, I'm actually taking an extra touch to then score.
Nah ini cuy, kemarin kan di FIFA Mobile yang kerasa, jujur aja yang kerasa itu ketika weak foot bintang 3. Kalau weak foot bintang 4 itu masih bagus cuy. Ini langsung first stock langsung shoot. Dia pakai weak foot dia.
So these are the
Langsung
little
melebar.
things, but in real life, when you play
Kalau
football in
ini
real life,
pakai strong
those are
footnya. Nah
the
ini
difference
yang
makers,
pakai
right? You take an
weak foot
extra
cuy.
touch,
Nah,
you
pakai weak foot first stock langsung shoot, dia langsung kayak gitu cuy.
compose your player,
Nah,
you set
ketika
yourself up, and you
Nah, ketika menggunakan ketika kita sadar, wah dia strong footnya kaki kanan. Alangkah baiknya teman-teman tahan dulu. Nah, dipasin kaki strongnya. Nah, gini cuy. Jadi jangan asal first stock kalau di FIFA Mobile ya asal shoot
gonna
gitu
be
aja
more
ya.
successful. And these are the things that will be the difference maker in really competitive play at the highest ranks of head-to-head. And that's what we wanted to do. We want to make the game.
Wah ini sih weak foot akan sangat berpengaruh ini coy. Weak foot akan sangat berpengaruh ya. Soalnya ini kerasa
Game
banget ya.
still
Ini langsung asal nge-shoot pakai kaki kiri, weak foot dia tuh langsung
Accessible, and you know we still gonna
lempar.
assist you in shooting.
Nah dia langsung yang kedua dia coba menggunakan
But
strong footnya langsung
those
kontak
differences
gitu.
of when you take a shot and how, they'll be the difference maker.
Wah ini sih
So let's move on to the next clip because the next one is
memang
also
tingkat
very important.
kesulitannya
Let's talk
beda,
about headers. Yes, we know about headers,
Header,
and we try to improve it significantly with elite shooting. So as you can see, elite shooting also extends to headers. And what you see in particular in the situation here is if you apply defensive pressure to the attacker, you can kind of force him to have more error on headers. So what we didn't want is that if you have great defenders and you do everything right, you pressure the guy, and the player still scores easily. That didn't feel fair, so you can now affect the accuracy of the attacker by putting pressure on him. And generally speaking, headers also follow the same laws of elite shooting. So, the closer you are, the better your angle. And
wah ini kayaknya header gak asal-asal bisa masuk dan ini backnya itu bisa marking terus ya. Ini entah auto atau manual ya. Ini backnya itu bisa marking bagus banget ke pemain yang merah ini cuy. Bisa langsung nge-marking, ngawal yang merah. Tapi itu nggak tahu manual atau enggak ya. Tapi dia tuh kayaknya kalau misal dikawal atau di marking itu sundulannya bisa meleset karena memang agak susah cuy. Beda sama yang free header ya.
will increase your chances of scoring. So we wanted to make sure that you can still score from headers, of course, but in a more realistic and
Jadi kita nggak asal-asal spam cross sekarang cuy. Nggak asal nyundul-nyundul ya.
Okay, let's move on to the next
Oke lah,
clip.
ini saya suka aja cuy.
Now we get into the visuals. So you can see here some beautiful shot animations because we have done a big animation refresh for shooting to complement elite shooting. Like this beautiful finesse.
Ini ya, ini shootnya itu, gaya animasi shootnya itu mirip banget dengan yang di konsol. Mirip banget dengan yang di konsol. Seperti itu sih. Saya kan kadang nonton CGM ya, sering nonton CGM. Ketika replay itu saya lihat animasi seperti ini sih, sering ya. Jadi ini memang kayak apa ya? Diimplementasikan dari konsol ke sini cuy.
Shot animation, like the way the player bends his body here is so beautiful. So both the regular shot and the finesse shot seen a big, large animation refresh, as I said, to visually complement elite shooting. So it feels very satisfying to score.
Keren ya?
And then if we move on to the next clip, we've also improved our goal net physics because it's all part of the emotion of scoring, right? Like you score a goal and then the ball hits the back of the net and it looks great. Well, for FC Mobile, we have a deeper net impact when the ball kind of hits the back of the net. And also you can see here a more refined ripple effect that just
walaupun ya cuy, ini sudah bagus banget. Sekelas game mobile bagus banget. Mungkin kalau di konsol sih ini bakal banyak protes karena ini jaringnya kan tetap lurus cuy. Ini talinya itu tetap lurus ya. Tetap lurus gitu cuy. Biasanya kalau kena bola kan ya melengkung gini ya. Tapi itu kan masih tetap lurus. Tapi game mobile ini bagus banget cuy.
Just looks great.
Bagus banget sih ya ini
it's
ya.
amazing. And also we improved our replay cameras so you're gonna see these beautiful goals and net physics up close. And so with a more skill-based shooting system,
Keren banget sih coy.
new animations, better goal net physics, we really want to make sure
part is you can hear it
Fisik ya.
too when you score in the beta.
Banyak banget ini, cuy. Banyak banget ini.
and when you really
Ini apanya?
hit it right, and
Ntar ada belakang dulu, cuy.
they're the fastest
banyak yang
and most
penting, tuh.
powerful shot in the game, right? And when you really hit it right and you score, it's amazing.
Power shot
And
ini
it
kelihatan
complements
banget
each
dari
other. So
animasinya, cuy.
regular shots are going to be a little bit slower compared to the current live game. So power shots are the fastest shot, so encouraging you to kind of take that shot from like outside the box and scoring amazing long shot goals.
Nah ini, power shot itu animasinya agak lamban, tapi shootingnya kenceng banget. Tapi kalau regular shot atau shot biasa, itu nge-shootnya agak cepat, animasinya lebih cepat, tapi bolanya nggak sekencang power shot. Jadi kalau power shot itu enaknya
Of
buat
course,
long
you can
shot.
take it from inside the box, but it's kind of really a shot for medium to long range. So let's move on to the next clip. So because power shots are so powerful and fast, you can still see here that the animation length is actually longer, right? So in fact, a power shot has a 3 times longer shot animation than a regular shot. So what does this mean? This puts you at the risk of being tackled, as you just saw. So the risk versus reward mechanic of a power shot is simple. You get the best and most powerful shot in the game, but it takes longer. So you need to be careful when and how to use it. Like in this example, I'm dribbling, the defender is very close, probably shouldn't have used a power shot. So use it with
Nah ini cuy, jadi teman-teman harus cari momentum sih ya. Pasnya power shot kapan? Nah kalau misal teman-teman itu asal power shot itu akan dia itu cuy. Ke ini ya, ke blok ya. Soalnya kayaknya ini power shot itu akan animasinya itu lebih lamban 3 kali kayaknya cuy. Tadi ya. Ya, kalau salah nanti silahkan komen ya cuy. Kayaknya 3 kali lebih lambat animasinya ketimbang regular shot cuy.
a caution, and when you have a bit of space, bit of time, then
Nah
you
itu
can use it.
lamban banget kan.
Now let's move on to the next clip. Let's talk about other things, how we balance the power shot.
Nih.
So power shots follow the same principles of elite shooting. So attempting shots from a good context, right? And a good angle to goal. And having good aim also helps, absolutely.
Mana?
And the other thing is power management. Yeah.
Ini cuy. Ini jadi kalau teman-teman power shot itu jangan asal nekan sampai full ya. Jadi kayaknya ini dia bilang itu 50% kalau jarak segini itu bagus cuy. Kalau jarak segini ya menggunakan
So
power
this
shot
means
50%.
if you attempt a power shot with like a 30 to 50% power, this is the ideal sweet spot for a power shot. But if you
Nah, ini,
attempt a
100.
power shot from a much higher power, so like when your power bar goes orange or red, most likely you're going to miss. However, which brings me to my third aspect of power shooting, attributes also play a big role here. Again, true player personality, meaning if you have a great and high rated player, he'll still be able to keep the power shots down in like higher power ranges, but we generally suggest try to keep the power shot between 30 to 50% to see the highest success rate. And that's the power shot, guys. Now, in terms of controls, I haven't mentioned that. That's pressing the shoot button and
Okay, I'm with my
Banyak banget sih
midfielder,
ini cuy.
and I've
Banyak
got
banget
open
sih ini
space.
asli ya ternyata ya. Ternyata banyak banget yang perlu kita tonton ini cuy.
Knock-on impact control is about. It's about utilizing that space, Timo, right? And getting yourself into dangerous positions.
that's correct. And the power shot just complemented elite shooting. Well, the knock-on complements our dynamic game speed. So this is a very traditional control, and we never really had it on mobile before. So I'm excited to bring it, and it was the perfect time to introduce it. So the knock-on allows you obviously to extract that full
ini animasi
potential
knock-on
of your
ya?
player's acceleration
Nah ini,
attribute
oh
while
skillmove
dribbling.
baru ini cuy.
And it
Knock-on.
allows you just to break away from defenders, create space
Oh, keren
wherever.
sih ini sih,
Like
knock-on
if you
cuy.
get a
Nah,
through
gitu.
pass into space and you want to break away, you just want
Jadi
to push
kita
the ball
nggak usah-
forward, like you play like Mbappe.
Ini skill move ke knock-on ya. Jadi kita nggak usah, kalau dulu kan kita menggunakan heel to heel. Kalau saya sih sering menggunakan heel to heel biar membuat jarak antar pemain itu lebih jauh. Pemain kita dengan pemain lawan itu agak jauh. Tapi sekarang sudah ada ke knock-on, kayaknya ini lebih efektif.
Like just having that explosive touch,
kan?
and you can do that.
Langsung.
Now. So if we roll to the next clip,
Kayaknya ini ketika kita menggunakan knock-on, akselerasinya pemain itu langsung ngegas cuy.
The best way you can do it, like as I just said, you get a pass into space, and you just want to break away from that defender, and you can push with the knock-on just to create an extra bit of space. Now you can do that. Also, if we roll to the next clip, you're going to see my preferred way of using the knock-on, which is a setup touch into a shot. So you can do a knock-on and then key up a shot, and I tell you what, the best combo is knock-on to power shot. Now that looks really good, so I highly recommend trying it. And as you can see, I kind of...
Wah, ini sih keren sih. Ini kayak dia itu tadi ngejelasin ya. Combo antara knock-on dan power shot ini mantep banget. Jadi ketika teman-teman knock-on kan bola jauh ya itu ya. Teman-teman langsung ngecharge si power shot. Wah, ini sih keren.
Parallel to the box, knock-on into the shot. Very, very satisfying. Yeah, and I think one more video we have that shows you the way we can use the knock-on. It's just beating one-on-one a defender. You're facing him head-on. You can just try to kind of beat him with a quick knock-on. Now, we should note here the controls of the knock-on. For the people that play the beta, they know this already, but knock-on...
Nah, ingat cuy. Ini gerakinya nggak asal loh ini ya. Tetap teman-teman arahin menggunakan analog kiri ke knock-onnya itu. Misal mau belok agak ke kiri ya, aimnya diarahin ke kiri gitu sih. Nggak asal kita langsung skill move ke knock-on, bolanya ingin bergerak seperti yang kita ingin, karena ini harus kita arahin juga cuy.
Is a team skill move, and we did this because we tried many different prototypes throughout production, and some of them felt really good, like double tapping sprint or things like that, but they conflicted too much with other existing controls. So putting it as a team skill moves build up the way you take on one-on-ones and open up the game. And then kind of lunge forward, covering a lot of space. In fact, high-rated players like Virgil van Dijk will have even more powerful and faster, far-reaching hard tackles, and they can come in with so much force, taking out the player, and it's really satisfying. But just like power shot, just be mindful and careful when to use it, right? Because you are committing to a long animation, so it takes maybe a little bit of practice, but trust me.
Jadi ini mekaniknya sih tambah ngeri sih ini cuy. Mekaniknya itu tambah susah ya ini ya. Jadi ini stand tackle yang manual itu cuy.
Once you start knocking down people with the first couple of hard tackles, you're gonna love
hard tackle ya.
So let's move on to the next clip, which is also showing another way you can utilize the hard tackle, which is blocks. Whether that's a cross, whether that's the power shot as I mentioned before, it's a perfect way just to slide in there in the last second, because you're covering so much ground. And in the beta, I had a moment where my player was on a breakaway, he actually teed up a power shot, and in the last second, literally, I slid in kind of from behind with a hard tackle. Yeah. It's really satisfying. Like when we put it in, we also made sure that hard tackles generally, even for lower rated players, are still by default, because it gives you that fresh new look. It looks modern, it looks broadcast, and also what you can see by default, because it gives you that fresh new look. It looks modern, it looks broadcast. All the old cameras from crowd and across the game.
New camera angle
Belandangan ya,
here on screen if we want to see
ini
it.
tampilan ya, ini tampilan ketika
It's
kita
a lot more open. You can see a lot more on the pitch, a lot more flexibility with how you can tap if you're using gestures, or even just setting up long passes.
Ini sih udah kelihatan beda sih dari FIFA Mobile cuy, dari banner-bannernya itu sudah ada sekarang, terus font-fontnya juga beda ya ini ya, fontnya beda cuy, grafiknya juga beda, sudah kelihatan sih kontras banget beda cuy.
That's right. Now, with FC Mobile, we not only taken the gameplay to the next level, but also our visuals, you know, whether it's locker room and all these things, like enhanced crowd and across the game. So on gameplay, we want to do the same thing. And I'm very excited for this, and it's the first time personally for myself working on cameras, and it was such a great experience. And the first one is the new gameplay camera. You can see here it's camera number 5 in your camera, so you still have all the old cameras from the previous seasons, but this is the new one, and it's going to be on by default because it gives you that fresh new look. It looks modern, it looks broadcast, and also what you can see here, you can see in the far distance the crowd and the stands, and you can see that we actually have much bigger and more banners, more flags, so you now really feel the immersiveness of the stadium and the crowd. And because the camera is lower, it's also very gesture friendly. So if you're on the right side of the wing here, you can almost see perfectly across the field, easily making a gesture pass to switch the side of play. So for me personally, I can't go back to the old cameras. It just looks so modern and great, and it's just satisfying to play in this camera. So let's move on to the next section, which is set pieces. So we refreshed all of our set piece cameras.
Penalty service. Ini angelnya keren sih. Ini kayak konsol banget sih ini, cuy. Tapi memang lebih susah sih. Memang lebih susah dengan angel ini, cuy. Service penalty.
Now,
Service.
this breaks down into kind of two areas. The first one is like the hero moment. So hero moment is like a penalty kick or a free kick. So here we're looking at the penalty kick, and you can see that the camera is much, much lower, much closer to the player. And really what we wanted to achieve is put you in the shoes of the kick taker. So you feel that intense moment with the goalkeeper, that pressure that you feel. You also now see more of the crowd in the background. So the flags are waving and you're in that moment. It feels really immersive, and that's what we wanted to achieve. We also added a bunch of new idle animations, actually, some star specific, so keep an eye out when you play the game and you have some star players, maybe you'll see some unique idle animations as the player is about to kick the ball. Let's move on to the next one, which is the direct free kick. Also, we lowered the camera here closer to the player, and as you can see, the player wall is blocking more of the view of the goal. And this is intentional. We want.
Ini angel untuk free kick. Ini teman-teman bisa ganti kok, cuy. Nggak harus pakai angel ini. Nah, ini teman-teman klik gambar kamera itu bisa ganti angel. Misal teman-teman mau ngumpan yang dekat itu kayaknya bisa diganti angelnya, cuy.
To make the wall a bit more intimidating, a bit more of an obstacle, and put you into that moment when you take a free kick, as you do in real life. You kind of have that challenge in front of you. So when you score a free kick, it feels satisfying. And I do want to take the moment right here, which is very, very important to mention. Elite shooting expands to penalty kicks and free kicks as well. So we know that in the current game, it's very easy to score penalty kicks and free kicks, but now there will be a much bigger attribute effect, such as how much curl you can apply in a free kick, how fast the kicks are. And I think for the guys who played the beta, they know penalty kicks are not like 100.
Tapi di FC beta ya, free kicknya nggak terlalu sulit, masih hampir-hampir mirip sama FIFA Mobile, walaupun agak beda, tapi momentumnya agak sama sih. Nggak terlalu beda banget, kayak gameplaynya kan beda banget sih. Kalau free kicknya itu sama, hampir sama. Penaltinya yang beda banget itu penaltinya.
Chance scoring anymore. Like you have to be careful. You need to carefully swipe. It's also based on attributes, how fast you swipe, where you swipe in the goal. So you actually see your teammates, and it's hard to make a pass. So you can see now it's much more zoomed out. So these are more like tactical set pieces now, right? You can see the full width and length of the field. And also we significantly improved the camera panning function. So these little arrows on the left and right, they're much more responsive now and faster when kind of rotating the camera, so you can quickly pick your teammate of choice. And let's move to the next image, which is the corner kick. You can see we're returning to a more.
Nah, ini sih, ini tampilan corner sekarang ada angel seperti ini. Dulu itu kan nggak bisa, yang FIFA Mobile kan nggak bisa. Besok FC Mobile ada tampilan seperti ini, cuy. Jadi teman-teman bisa nge-slide, tapi teman-teman juga bisa balik ke yang FIFA Mobile, itu bisa teman-teman ganti ke kamera yang seperti biasanya, itu tetap bisa, cuy. Tapi kalau teman-teman nyaman pakai mode yang baru ini, nggak apa-apa. Senyamannya aja sih, senyamannya ya.
Traditional camera, but we want to keep it gesture friendly, so the camera is still quite elevated, so you're kind of looking down on the pitch, so it feels easy to make the gesture pass exactly where you want to tap and pass. But now it still puts you in the kick taker kind of view, which feels immersive. Again, you can see like the other side of the pitch, the banners, the crowd. It really adds again to the atmosphere to do that. So let's move on to the last one, which is the goal kick. Now the goal kick also has undergone some changes. It looks a lot more like our console big brother, more immersive. You see more of the stadium as well, the architecture, and it's really easy. You don't really have to pan the camera. Pick your pass.
Played head-to-head is played. I think it just makes it more. There's more options for players to choose different camera angles, and then I just know personally scoring a free kick is a lot more fun. And I noticed in the chat some people are bringing up is penalties. If you played the beta, you notice penalties are not guaranteed, and I think that's a welcome change for a.
Penalti bukan garansi lagi. Anjay. Jadi memang penalti sekarang besok itu susah banget, cuy. Jadi kita nggak bisa jaminan gol ya. Kalau di FIFA Mobile kan kita nggak shoot asal gitu, cuy. Itu udah pasti gol. Tapi besok di FC Mobile Sama kayak yang diomongkan Bro Arman tadi, penalti bukan
A lot
jaminan.
of people. So in the chat, let me know if you missed any penalties in the beta, or how good you were at penalties. Because I know I missed a few. I swiped my first few ones way over the net, and it took me a little bit of adjusting. But once you get the hang of it, Timo, right? It's pretty good.
Yeah, and just like in real life, let's say you're attempting to shoot
Real
top
life.
corner. Like you're attempting it. You're stepping up to the plate and you're like, I'm going to do it. You're probably, maybe you're going to miss. I'm not sure how good you are, but it's a high risk. You're trying to put it in the top corner. But if you shoot it low in the center, high chance of scoring. And that's what we wanted to represent. You're taking a risk. Of course, the higher the attribute of a player, the more chance you have to keep it on target, but it's not guaranteed. So a lot of things like how fast you swipe, where you swipe, your player, all these things factor in. But isn't it a great feeling when you actually score a penalty, or maybe oh I think I swiped too fast.
Jadi kita harus main feeling sih, harus main feeling. Jadi memang ini kayak dibikin realistis. Jadi kita itu nge-swipe-nya nggak boleh asal. Ini kita bisa memperkirakan. Misal bola pelan, itu jaminan masuk di kotaknya itu enak, tetapi gampang ditepis. Nah itu sih, gampang ditepis. Tapi kalau kita nge-swipe-nya kencang, otomatis kan bolanya kencang. Tapi itu riskan sekali untuk nggak on target. Jadi memang ini sih keren. Ini penaltinya harus menggunakan feeling yang kuat, cuy. Harus ada feeling yang kuat. Katanya Bro Timo tadi.
But it still goes in, you're like, oh my god, yeah, satisfying. Like it's just that moment that we wanted, and it's just like that in real life. Taking a penalty shot, that pressure, that and then that satisfaction of actually scoring. And also, I'm sure many people saw it. And if you haven't played the beta, one cool little thing is we added the move goalkeeper function in. So for the goalkeeper in penalty kicks, you can now move your keeper side to side. So it's a bit of a mind game.
Exactly.
You can better position the keeper.
Sekarang bisa gerakin
So
kiper gini
it just
nih. Iya,
adds to the
bener.
experience of penalty kicks.
Totally agreed. I know it was funny going back to the current game after playing the beta and playing some head to head, and I conceded a penalty, and in my head I was like, okay, I have a chance, and then I realized I was like, oh, I'm back in here. I can't save him. So I think it'll be a nice wrinkle into just playing head to head, and if you've got a penalty in like the 90th minute and you're stepping up, and it's not a guarantee, you actually have to keep your cool. And I love that. It's a nice addition, and it's going to really make competitive gameplay feel a lot more competitive. I know at the start of the
Be quite effective, of course, based on attributes such as agility, ball control, right? But if you're attempting multiple skill moves in a row, like chaining them basically, one after the other, that will be not as effective.
Oke, kayaknya
anymore.
sudah
So we
ini
made an
sudah
emphasis to
cuma merekap
discourage
ulang ya
users
ini
from
ya.
doing that.
Kayaknya Bro Timo cuma merekap ulang lagi yang diomongkan tadi, yang ada visualnya. Memang ini gameplay di FC Mobile beda banget dengan FIFA Mobile. Teman-teman besok rasain aja. Kalau teman-teman sudah main yang versi beta sih sudah tahu sih, memang beda ya. Dari ball kontrolnya, terus gameplaynya ya, khususnya gameplaynya, kontrolnya, terus visualnya, terus audionya dan lain sebagainya itu beda banget cuy. Beda banget, sensasinya itu beda banget. Yang sama itu apa ya? Yang sama mungkin kayak apa ya? Mungkin ya sama itu game bolanya ya, ada beberapa aspek itu memang sama. Tetapi gameplay itu beda sih. Gameplay itu beda ya. Oke, ya mungkin itu aja sih. Jika teman-teman suka pada video kali ini, silahkan klik tombol like, share, dan subscribe agar teman-teman tidak ketinggalan game FIFA Mobile selanjutnya. Oke, salam berkoordinasi. Cheers.